What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, yesterday was a very big day in the NFL as the NFL got its first look at Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, and to say that he was polarizing would be an understatement. I mean, this press conference was entertaining. I mean, we got our first look at Dan Campbell, and not only was it an enjoyable experience, not only did it get me and a lot of other Lions fans very excited for what is to come, but it revealed a lot about our head coach. It revealed a lot about his personality, his vision for this team moving forward, and basically it showed a lot about this team and the identity and the vision that people have for this team moving forward. And I wanted to go over it. Obviously, it's an hour and a half, 2-hour press conference. Not everybody has the time for that. So in this video, I wanted to recap the press conference, go over some of the big markers, some of the big, points of emphasis for the press conference, and really kind of go over the notable takeaways from this press conference, because believe me when I tell you, there was a lot to take away from it, and there's a lot of excitement surrounding this team now because of what Dan Campbell had to say yesterday. Now, before we get into the video, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying this Detroit Lions content, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes just 2 seconds out of your day to do so. It helps the channel out more than you could know. It'd be super helpful. I'd be super appreciative for it. So if you could take 2 seconds to like and subscribe, I'd be super appreciative. But with all that being said, and without any further ado, let's get into talking about Dan Campbell's opening press conference as the new head coach for our Detroit Lions. Now, as I said, Dan Campbell had his first introductory press conference yesterday with the media, his first time as the Detroit Lions head coach facing the media, and I think the word to describe this press conference would be polarizing. There's a lot of people that loved his energy, loved his fire, and loved what he had to say.
Motor City Dan Campbell, the head coach for Detroit Lions, might be the biggest football guy I have ever seen operate in public in my entire life. His opening press conference was electric. At one point, he said, "You're gonna knock us down? We're gonna get up, and on our way up, we're gonna bite your kneecap off." This guy is gonna be awesome.
And there were a lot of people that didn't like what he had to say. There were a lot of people that were a little bit against what he was going for. And there's a couple people that thought maybe he's a little too crazy for Detroit. But, going over the first thing that I noticed and the first big takeaway I had from this press conference is when he talked about matchups and how he talked about running a team and taking advantage of other teams' weaknesses. Now, Dan Campbell, during the interview and during the press conference, was asked about how he wanted to run this team, how he wanted this team to look from an X's and O's standpoint. And while he didn't have a direct answer, right? He didn't say, "Oh, I want a spread offense, I want a power run, I want a West Coast offense," nothing like that. He did give a very interesting answer when he said, "We're going to take advantage of matchups. If we have an advantage over one of your players, we're going to take advantage of it. If our left tackle is dominating your right end, you better believe we're running at that right end until you stop it. If we have a cornerback that is a phenomenal blitzer and you're not picking up the blitz, you better believe we are sending him every single time to put pressure on the quarterback. If we have a phenomenal run game and your defensive line's just not going to stack up to it and they're not going to stack the box to stop what we're doing, you better believe we're going to run it 10, 12 times in a row until you respect us. If we have a wide receiver on the outside like Kenny Galladay balling out and you're not doing anything to stop it, you're not rolling coverages his way, you're not trying to stop him, and you're not putting extra resources to stop him, you better believe we're going to Kenny Galladay 12, 15 times a game." I think that's a very big thing for a young head coach to do because, we saw with Matt Patricia, he was very reliant on his scheme, right? He didn't really look at matchups, in my opinion, didn't really look at where does our team favor the other team. He looked at, this is my scheme, this is how I'm going to run it. I do not care if this team is weak at this position, we're not going to attack that because my scheme is going to work. And Dan Campbell, I think he even said this in the press conference, he's been around everywhere. He's been around a bunch of different schemes offensively and defensively. He's seen everything in the NFL, and he's not married to one particular scheme. He's going to take advantage of matchups. Whatever matchup he sees on the board, whatever matchup he sees on tape that he believes he can take advantage of, and what he sees on the field that he can take advantage of, he is going to do everything in his power to abuse that matchup as long as he can and until the opposing team stops it. And that's something Matt Patricia was never really able to figure out. That's something he was never really super good at. It was finding those matchups and exploiting those matchups consistently throughout an entire game. And Dan Campbell, in his first question answered, basically said that they're going to do that. He's not blinded by scheme. He's not married to a scheme or a statistic. He's not married to certain X's and O's and certain plays and certain coverages and all of that kind of stuff like Patricia was. He has seen it all, and he knows that you can't win with just playing man coverage. You can't win while just rushing 3 people every single time. You have to mix it up. You have to throw different punches. You have to see what sticks. You have to see what hurts the most, and you have to look at matchups and take advantage of matchups, especially when your strength matches up with one of the opponent's weaknesses. You have to take advantage and abuse that. Matt Patricia was never able to do that. In just his first press conference, Dan Campbell said that that's exactly how he wants this team to be ran, and already that's a step ahead and a step in front of where Patricia was when he took over. Now, the second notable takeaway I had from this press conference, and this is where a lot of the polarizing stuff happened, this is where a lot of the either excitement or hatred for this press conference came to light, is when he was asked about the identity of this team. Now, when he was asked about the identity, Matt Campbell had a very, very unique comment, and a very interesting comment for the media.
Here's what I know. Just as an overall philosophy, you're going to say, well, what's this team going to be? What's it not going to be? I know that Detroit's made up of great people. This community is strong. This place has been kicked, it's been battered, it's been bruised, and I can sit up here and give you coach speak all day long. I can give you, hey, we're going to win this many games. I can't. None of that matters, and you guys don't want to hear it anyway. You've had enough of that. So excuse my language. This city's been down, and it found a way to get up. All right, it's found a way to overcome adversity. We're going to kick you in the teeth, and when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you, and when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing. All right, that's going to be the mentality.
So basically from that quote and from what he said during the press conference, Matt Campbell wants this team to be representative of the city. He wants it to embody the people of Detroit. He wants it to embody the people. He wants this team to, take on the identity of the city of Detroit. This city has, been knocked down. It's been down. It's been in a rough place before, and they've got back up, and they've continued to get back up over and over and over again and find success, and that's what he wants this team to be. He knows the Lions have been knocked down before. He knows the Lions have, struggled with a lot of things before. He knows that the Detroit Lions haven't been the most successful organization over the past several decades, but he doesn't care about the past. He wants this team to get up and start swinging in 2021. He does not want to rebuild. He does not want to wait 3, 4, 5 years to be competitive. He wants to go out week 1 next year and punch somebody in the mouth. Dan Campbell wants this team to be competitive. Dan Campbell wants this team to be aggressive and play fast and play mean and tough. And obviously I was not around for this, but after talking with somebody that did watch the press conference and was around at this time, he said that the bad boys are back in Detroit. Obviously, that's a Pistons reference. I wasn't around for that era. I don't have a super, I'm not going to go into that a whole lot, but I thought that was a very interesting comment. Obviously, that was a team that won a championship for Detroit, but the first thing that he said to me was the bad boys are back in Detroit. And based on Dan Campbell's comments, based on how he wants this team to look and how he wants this team to have an identity in 2021, that's not the worst comparison that you could draw from this Lions team. I mean, if they're playing fast on defense, if they're playing aggressive, maybe a borderline mean, maybe borderline kind of a rougher style of play, I would be 100% down for that. I love when our defense is aggressive. I love when they hit hard. If they get a couple penalties here and there because they're playing their minds out, because they're playing their butts off, if they get a couple penalties because they're over aggressive, I can expect that. I can respect that because they are giving 110% effort. I would rather us give that much effort and commit a couple dumb penalties a game opposed to not giving that effort and not giving that good defensive performance that we expect and that we we deserve as fans of the Detroit Lions. The third notable takeaway I had was the coordinator position. He was asked several times about the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. Obviously, since the interview, since the press conference, he has since hired Aaron Glenn to be the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He's still looking into the offensive coordinator. He said he interviewed about 4-5 guys on both sides of the ball. Obviously, we have our defensive coordinator, but he's going to work early. He's getting as many interviews as he can with as many offensive coordinators as he can. Obviously, we talked about James Urban yesterday. I've heard things about maybe Anthony Lynn, maybe a couple other veteran guys. I've heard a lot of different names thrown around for the Lions team, and you better believe he's going to get the best guy. He's going to get the guy that he believes is going to be the best fit in Detroit. And the one thing that he said yesterday that stuck out to me about both the team and the coaches is it's not always about getting the best player or the best coach. It's not always about getting the greatest person at the job. It's about getting who fits the best together. What group of people can do the best working as a group, working together? What group of people can we have the most success with? He quoted and said, if you put 10 alphas in a room, right, they all might be the best at their respective job and their respective position, but they're always going to be biting at each other and always going to be bringing each other down because they want to be the alpha. Opposed to if you have a couple alphas and a couple followers, if you have a couple leaders, a couple followers, you're going to get a lot more done because not everybody's going to be nipping at your heels the whole time. Not everybody's going to be throwing punches the whole time. They're not going to be arguing over who's the leader, who's the best, who's better at this and that, and so on and so forth. If they have a good complementary front office, right? If they have people that know how to work together and they all have the same vision and they're all working towards the same goal while being able to work together, we're going to see a lot more success than if we were to have a bunch of smart people that all want to be the leader and all want to be the face and all want to be the big name and be the guy in charge. I thought that was a very interesting comment from Dan Campbell. The fact that it's not always about getting the best person as much as it is getting the right fit for what your team needs. And I think, again, that's something that Matt Patricia didn't really understand. Matt Patricia, when he came in, didn't realize that he didn't need to be Bill Belichick. He needed to be a solid coach. He did not need to be Bill Belichick and be a dictator and be all of these things. He did not need to be the alpha all the time, and he was allowed to kind of go with his players and kind of, relate to his players and all that. Matt Patricia didn't understand that. He didn't always understand that it's not about the talent, it's about the fit. And as of that reason, and for that reason, the Lions are in a much worse position now than they were a couple of years ago. I don't think Dan Campbell's going to make that same mistake. Dan Campbell's not going to be in that same situation. Not only has he done a head coaching job before and learned from some of his mistakes and cleaned some of those things up with Sean Payton and under Sean Payton, but he understands that it's not always about the best talent, it's not always about the best coach, it's about the best fit within the organization and what's going to help your organization the most. Sometimes isn't the greatest player, sometimes it's just a player that fits the best in your system. Sometimes the greatest, the biggest name coach isn't always the best person, opposed to maybe a lesser known guy that's going to help your team and fit much better with the pieces that you already have in place. Now, my fourth and final takeaway, and this is just about Dan Campbell as a person and as a coach. These were my major takeaways from him, and trust me, I love this guy. Like, hearing him talk, I was very skeptical about the hire. Hearing him talk about this football team, his vision, his ideology, his future, the identity he wants to develop, I am already in love with this head coach. I mean, this dude was talking about biting off kneecaps. He was talking about swinging. He was talking about all these different things. I mean, he jokes. He has fun. He's relatable. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many comments